for murder or press hash to return to main menu. Lisa and Bart end up in detention. They make a plan. Bart will get revenge on Miss Hoover for Lisa, and Lisa will seek revenge on Mrs. Krabappel for Bart. Lisa ding-dong ditches Mrs. Krabappel while Bart actually kills Miss Hoover. Later, when Bart wants to figure out how girls pee, Lisa finds out that Bart killed Principal Skinner, after which Lisa proclaims that she has to kill Bart herself. While chasing him around with a knife, they eventually get onto a merry-go-round. Ultimately, choosing not to kill him, Lisa throws her knife in the air instead, which then plummets back down, killing Bart accidentally. Don't have a cow, mankind. In a parody of 28 Days Later and Children of Men, Kent Brockman reports on Krusty's new Burger Squared, made from cannibalistic cows. Kent, the first to take a bite, transforms into a pale, grey-eyed zombie called a Muncher. He bites Krusty, infecting him. In 28 days, the Muncher virus infects Springfield. Moe is captured but doesn't resist and suggests they wash him before eating him. In response, the Simpsons barricade their house, refusing entry to anyone, including Grandpa, who gets killed and infected. Bart sneaks out, eats a Burger Squared, and survives. Homer strangles Bart, then calls Dr. Hibbert, besieged by Munchers. Hibbert, fighting them off and getting bitten, suggests Bart might be immune and advises them to go to a safe zone. The family then attempts to sneak out to their undamaged car and head to the safe zone. Homer's loud relief attracts the entire Muncher population. They try to barricade the door, which fails, and they escape through various rooms, avoiding Munchers. Rainier Wolfcastle arrives but is quickly overwhelmed. Apu, uninfected due to his vegetarianism and store clerk stockpile, rescues them in an armored SUV. While heading to the safe zone, Helen Lovejoy attacks the car. Marge, reluctant because Helen is Lisa's godmother, shoots her off the car. The SUV gets stuck in a junk pile at the dump, and Apu pushes it down but gets killed. The SUV runs out of fuel, forcing the Simpsons to walk to the safe zone, with Homer guarding them using an M14 rifle. While halfway there, they find an unconscious Muncher, Mr. Burns. Homer mocks Burns, but Burns springs back to life and bites Homer, infecting him. The family notices Homer's changes. Bart grabs the rifle, but Marge takes it, explaining that Homer can be cured at the safe zone. At the safe zone, a soldier suggests they eat Bart to gain his immunity. Marge opposes this idea, advocating for an alternative. Sometime later, Lisa narrates that the world returns to normal. Survivors gain immunity, and the remaining Munchers are cured by consuming soup with Bart's antibodies. Homer, still infected, is locked up because he won't eat the food his son has bathed in. There's no business like Mo business. In a parody of Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street, Homer falls and gets impaled on a brewing machine in Moe's tavern. Moe lies to Marge, saying Homer wants to leave her to explore being gay. They drink beer mixed with Homer's blood, and Marge initially agrees, but Homer, still impaled, attacks Moe. Despite his situation, Marge continues to love Homer. During intermission, Kang and Kodos are in the audience. Kang praises the play as the best in light years, while Kodos corrects him about light years being a measure of distance. After the play ends, the cast sings a parody of the Simpsons theme song, thanking the audience for enjoying the Halloween show. Roman numerals for 20 drop behind them. Kodos shushes the audience, pointing at Kang, who fell asleep with a playbill issue on his helmet. War and Pieces. In the Jumanji parody, Marge worries about Bart playing violent video games, so she suggests he and Milhouse explore the attic's board games. They stumble upon a game called Satan's Path, inadvertently bringing all the board games to life in an alternate reality. To win, they must complete the games, which results in a game of mouse catch. After Bart restores normalcy by completing the game, he decides to play only Hangman, believing it's safer. When Milhouse guesses incorrectly, they both meet a grim end by hanging. Master and Cadaver. In a Dead Calm parody, Homer and Marge, on their second honeymoon in black bikinis, rescue a castaway named Roger. Suspicion arises when they find a dead shark with a pie pan in its mouth and assume Roger poisoned the passengers. Homer and Marge seemingly kill Roger and toss him overboard. Later, they discover the truth upon finding the bottle of soy sauce that was used to knock out Roger on the albatross. Roger reappears, and Homer wrongly accuses him of poisoning their pie. Roger clarifies that the pie was safe, and the shark died due to their boat's fuel leak. However, Homer still kills Roger. Then he discovers the bankers survived because they had an antidote. Homer kills them to cover their tracks. Marge, overwhelmed with guilt, eats the poisoned pie and dies, leaving Homer mourning her loss. The entire scenario was a product of Maggie's imagination during her bath. Homer asks what she's thinking, and Marge responds with sugar plums and buttercups. But suddenly, Maggie transforms into Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange, complete with a bowler hat and eyeliner, as the film's theme music plays. parodies, revealing a different reality. Tweenlight. In a Twilight parody, Lisa falls for a mysterious new student, Edmund Dracula, a spoof of Edward Cullen, who saves her from danger, revealing he's a vampire. They start a romance, upsetting Milhouse, who becomes a werepoodle. Marge invites Edmund and his father Dracula to dinner, which goes awry. Lisa and Edmund leave and head to a cathedral in Dracula land. Lisa considers becoming a vampire, but reconsiders upon learning she'd be forever 8 years old. Edmund, feeling the urge to bite, reconciles with his father. To save Lisa, Homer offers himself as a meal. However, both vampires die from Homer's high cholesterol, turning him into a vampire. As he attempts to fly home in bat form, his weight causes him to fall. Milhouse, now a werepoodle, carries Homer away, leaving Lisa distressed. The Diving Bell and the Butterball. In a parody of the Diving Bell and the Butterfly, Homer gets bitten by a black widow spider while setting up Halloween decorations, causing his body to freeze, and he can't speak, known as locked-in syndrome. When Lisa reads a long book to him, Homer tries to express his disinterest by repeatedly farting. Lisa discovers that Homer can communicate by farting to select letters from the alphabet. Then Homer gets bitten by another spider, becoming a SpiderMan parody. He sports a dark blue and red costume and gains the ability to fart out spider webs, humorously referred to as arse webs by Chief Wiggum. Dial D for Diddley. In a Dexter parody, Ned Flanders drives through a gritty area of Springfield, sharing his inner thoughts. After a montage of Ned's activities, he witnesses Mr. Burns dumping toxic waste in a lake. He hears God's voice commanding him to kill Mr. Burns and urinate on his ashes. Initially hesitant, Ned beheads and dismembers Burns, tossing his head in the radioactive lake, resulting in a third eye. Ned, now a vigilante killer under God's guidance, proceeds to murder Snake and Patty and Selma Bouvier in a parody of Wile E. Coyote. God turns out to be Homer using a voice changer. Furious at being manipulated, Ned confronts Homer with plans to kill him. In an attempt to disprove God's existence, Homer burns Ned's Bible, but then God unexpectedly appears, tearing off the Simpsons house roof and fatally strangles Homer with his fingers. Marge is horrified and questions God about the situation. God tries to blame Ned for Homer's death. Marge asks if he can be restored, but God mentions the big man downstairs wouldn't approve. The devil is revealed as the big man and demands coffee from God. Maud Flanders then appears, revealing her affair with the devil, much to Ned's dismay. In the Na'vi, Milhouse and Bart take on alien Rigelian bodies on Rigel 7 to retrieve Hilarium. Bart encounters a female Rigelian, Kamala, who uses her seductive voice. In an unusual vision, Bart learns about their culture. The mission succeeds when Kamala's parents explain the importance of Hilarium for their pregnant females. Milhouse inadvertently contacts their home army upon finding the Hilarium. The army attacks, but the local Rigelians overpower the humans. Bart tricks Superintendent Chalmers, making him fall off a cliff. The greatest story ever told. In a parody of the greatest story ever told, Springfield residents gather to witness the activation of Springfield's subatomic super collider, a replacement for a proposed baseball stadium, thanks to Lisa's lobbying. Professor Frink starts the machine, but it proves uneventful. Everyone faults Lisa for her idea, and as they depart, two particles collide, forming a small black hole that drifts away. Lisa cries on the ground, then notices her tears heading towards the black hole. Lisa sees the black hole sucking up people like Ralph and Nelson, so she urges the family to move it to the basement. Lisa warns against adding any matter to it, fearing it might grow and endanger Earth. However, Marge, Homer, and Bart sneakily toss items into the black hole. Marge adds grease to attract raccoons, and Bart attempts to feed his math homework. When the black hole rejects the homework, Bart resolves to putting Edna Krabappel into it. The following morning, the black hole grows and engulfs most of the Simpsons' belongings. Lisa questions her family about contributing to it, but they deny it. She notices Snowball missing, and Santa's little helper appears oblivious. Springfield residents converge to dispose of their garbage in the black hole due to Homer's new venture, magic craphold waste removal. The Simpsons' home is also devoured by the black hole, and other citizens continue tossing their items into it. Lisa then warns that one more item could make the black hole unstable. While Milhouse hits a home run during the baseball game, the ball is sucked into the black hole, causing it to intensify and absorb Springfield residents, except Maggie. The black hole takes Maggie's pacifier and shoots off into the distance. The black hole becomes a portal to another dimension, transporting the Springfield residents to a remote alien planet. The aliens revere their discarded items as treasures, including a mattress sale insert and banana peels. They consider the Zune, the ultimate music device. Homer attempts to explain that it's just old junk, but Marge shushes him and encourages the aliens to enjoy it. Unnormal Activity. In a parody of Paranormal Activity, Homer records strange occurrences in his home. He sets up a camera at 11:15 AM and expresses his heroism on the footage. Bart and Lisa interrupt, having been forgotten and searching for car keys in Lisa's bean plant. Later at 10:22 PM, Homer places the camera in his and Marge's bedroom, attempting to snuggle. Marge refuses due to the camera, but Homer tries to convince her it's off. Around 3:08 AM, the bedroom door opens. The duvet falls to the floor and a golf club levitates, hitting Homer repeatedly before dropping to the ground. Around 4:42 AM, a loud noise wakes Homer and Marge. Marge investigates downstairs while Homer grabs the camera but falls down the stairs. They find the family room in disarray, and Lisa wonders why this is happening. Marge is clueless while Homer tells Lisa about a nightly malevolent force from hell that targets sleeping families. The next day at 1:15 PM, Raphael installs more cameras for The Simpsons. Around 11:14 PM, Milhouse falls asleep in Bart's room, and 2 seconds later, he's in Lisa's room. In Homer and Marge's bedroom, Marge observes Homer for hours, and when he wakes up, she growls. At about 4:09 AM, Homer uses the bathroom, with Marge watching for over 20 minutes. Around 2:07 PM, Chief Wiggum tests fire in the family room, labeling it hellfire and hinting at a devil's deal. He's spooked by a cuckoo clock, then reappears as a skeleton, mentioning the devil feeding on more than fear before collapsing. On night 15 at 1:23 AM, Maggie's blocks and door shake. Maggie levitates, is placed in a carrier, and a bag with a bottle is added. When Marge arrives to retrieve Maggie, someone claims that they had a deal. Homer, Lisa, and Bart enter the room and expose the mysterious creature, a devil resembling Mo. Marge recalls her sisters, Patty and Selma, hailing Satan in the attic when she was 8 due to boredom. The devil accepts Marge's request to delay taking Patty and Selma. He grants her 30 more years but demands her favorite child after that. Lisa claims to be the favorite, but when the devil grabs her, she denies it. Homer proposes another deal, a freeway with him and Marge, but the demon suggests two demons and Homer. Around 3:30 AM, Homer asks for the safety word, cinnamon, and suggests trying something new. He then tosses his dressing gown at the camera, and the devil repeatedly shouts cinnamon. Bart and Homer's Excellent Adventure. In a parody of Bill's and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Back to the Future, Bart questions the high price of a Radioactive Man comic. He protests the comic book guy, who suggests to time travel to 1974 to buy it at the cover price. Bart initially thinks it's impossible, but a comic titled The Boy Who Went Back to 1974 gives him a hint. Out of nowhere, a red car appears, and Professor Frink emerges, revealing it's a time machine. Bart hops in and travels back to 1974. Then Bart attends the android's dungeon and baseboard card shops, grand opening, and buys the Radioactive Man comic, though he later tosses it away as it feels too preachy. While passing Springfield High School, he sees Principal Dondelinger reprimanding young Homer and Barney for smoking. Bart is surprised and enters the school. Bart claims to be Homer's unwanted future son who ruined his fun. This enrages young Homer, who starts choking Bart. Young Marge enters the room, witnessing the scene. She's disgusted by Homer's behavior and declines the prom invitation, walking away. Homer scolds Bart for ruining his love at first sight moment. Bart, concerned about his future after distracting young Homer from young Marge, checks his phone. His original future vanishes, but a new picture emerges, showing him by a fancy house which Bart finds promising. He persuades young Marge not to marry young Homer, and she agrees. Bart returns to the present, where young Homer hides in the time machine's trunk. Young Homer initially despairs about his ruined life, but changes his perspective when he sees enticing sights like Ken and Harry's cookie dough ice cream, Itchy and Scratchy on large screens, and an ad for Thursday night football. He's amazed by the future, but Chief Wiggum on Segway disappoints him. Bart arrives at his fancy home to find Marge making a smoothie for Artie Ziff. Bart is shocked to discover his mother's marriage to Artie and becomes Barty Ziff with curly hair. Artie welcomes Barty to his life and introduces his bully butler, Nelson Muntz. Barty orders Nelson to give himself a wedgie while young Homer watches from the window. Present Homer then confronts young Homer about being in his peeping tree, but soon realizes that the teenager on the other branch is actually a younger version of himself. He questions young Homer about why he's in the present, and young Homer explains he's here to make Marge settle for him. They decide to come up with a plan together. The doorbell rings and Homer arrives to reclaim his life. Artie reveals he anticipated this and mastered Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Homer invites the United Federation of Homers through history, and after a brief scuffle, Artie and Barty manage to beat all the Homers. Present Homer instructs everyone to regroup and plan for the morning. Marge arrives and is surprised by the multiple Homers. She expresses regret for marrying the wrong man and comforts the poor, sweet, simple Homers. Marge acknowledges that she should have been with all of them, including Caveman Homer. She tells Homer that she wishes she had chosen love 20 years ago, and they share a kiss while the other Homers watch. In the regular Simpsons house, all the Homers are watching TV when Marge enters and questions why none of them took out the garbage. Opera Homer suggests that the Egyptian slave Homer should do it, leading to some grumbling and laughter among the Homers. Oh, the places you will do. In Springfield's wild night, with Marge out of sight, kids with mums alone, just one M&M in their bite. Enter the Fat in the Hat, causing quite a spat. Curing mumps with shots, chaos follows that. Grandpa's berated, knocked out by the Fat. Tiny helpers disposed, a dark twist in that. Gasoline ablaze, the house blows apart. The boax appears, merchandise in the park. Through town they roam, havoc they sow. Burns's mansion crumbles, candy won't flow. Patty and Selma at the DMV meet their doom. Town hall explodes, animals set free to loom. Kids escape the Fat on a humble gumbamble ride. Krusty Forest crumble beheaded, sideshow Bob on the side. B-Man of Bumble, their savior in the air. Back home they reach, but the Fat's waiting there. Gloating to stay, claiming to be their new father. Aggie intervenes, Fat meets his end and rather. Ends with a sequel tease, a humorous chat. The Fat in the Hat pledges a frat. Head and shoulders. Parodying the thing with two heads, Bart and Milhouse fly a box kite. Milhouse, allergic, leaves for the hospital. Bart alone ties the kite's string around his neck, dozing off. Arnie Pie's helicopter snags the kite, slicing off Bart's head. He wakes up, head next to Lisa's, realizing they share a body. Against it initially, Lisa learns her brain controls both bodies from Dr. Hibbert. Homer creates a man cave in Bart's room, with no girls or boys attached to girls sign on the door. Willie alters the bathroom sign for them at school. Lisa presents Bart for show and tell, praised by Miss Hoover, but Bart is scolded by the teacher. In therapy, they learn to be friends. Then Bart realizes he controls the body when Lisa's asleep. To ensure control, he adds pills to Lisa's yogurt. Homer unknowingly adds more to his own. Failing to cut Lisa's head off with Skinner's car, Bart ties them to a sawmill log. Lisa forces Bart's head into the saw path, cutting it off. Gloating, she misses the next saw, losing her head too. Bart wakes up with Selma, his new karaoke partner. Lisa's head ends up on Krusty's body, becoming his comedy partner. Then it is shown that Dr. Hibbert and Dr. Nick are both connected. Freaks, no geeks. At Mr. Burnsam's Freaks Parody Carnival, Kang, Kodos, Bart on Selma's neck, Nelson as the human donkey, Acrobat Marguerite and the scary Freak Mo are showcased. Burnsam scolds the Freaks for leaving early, but Marguerite defends them. Homer reveals they are to marry the Freaks. After Burnsam and Strongman Homer depart, Mo and the Freaks thank Marguerite. She encourages them, kisses Mo on the cheek, and he falls in love with her. Lenny and Carl suggest Mo ask Marguerite out. Mo, feeling inferior to Strongman Homer, is reminded of his emerald ring by Lenny. Strongman Homer, revealing he's dying, convinces Marguerite to marry Mo. The Freaks welcome her, and Mo and Marguerite marry. She then catches Strongman Homer poisoning Mo's wine, losing respect for him. Strongman Homer sadly leaves Marguerite's trailer, but finds Mr. Burnsam murdered by the Freaks. They then emerge shouting "One of Us" and turn him into the world's strongest duck. In a How I Met Your Mother parody, the scene transitions to present day with Homer telling the story of how he met Marge. School is hell. Bart gets detention for gossiping about a naked lunch lady. While bored, he discovers an Aramaic inscription, and with Lisa's help, they get transported to Hell Roads, gaining demonic features. Lisa joins Mean Girls, causing a cold day in hell when she becomes popular. Bart encounters a two-headed demon resembling Skinner and Chalmers, which skins him and throws him into a classroom. In the class, class, the teacher discusses torturing the bank robber. Bart suggests feeding money to the robber, earning back his skin. He also proposes a bizarre torture involving a man wearing an aquarium as pants filled with piranhas, creating a gruesome cycle. Lisa gives Bart a map to escape hell, leading them to Mr. Burns' office. He reveals the Earth time, thanks them, and at home, Bart asks to enroll in hell. Homer and Marge meet the principal, who convinces Marge that hell nurtures its students. Bart excels in hell classes, focusing on torture and killing Jimbo Jones, earning him the honor student status. His final test requires him to torture Homer, who urges Bart to do it as a way of making up for past neglect. At graduation, the principal holds Webster hostage. Bill Z. Bart Simpson graduates as valedictorian, bringing joy to his family, which a headless Homer proudly observes. At Clockwork Yellow, Moe, Lenny, Carl, and Homer form a Clockwork Orange style gang in London. Homer, smitten with Marge, decides to quit, leading the gang to fall apart. Years later, Moe is attacked at home in a manner reminiscent of the gang's past. He urges Homer to reunite the gang, and former members Lenny and Carl, now policemen, join them. They raid a masked orgy, echoing Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, and they parody several of his films in a fight. Then Kubrick appears in an editing room, demanding a reshoot of the entire film. The Others. In a parody of The Others, the Simpson family discovers mysterious frosty chocolate milkshakes, blood messages on the mirror reading Help Me, and their TV exclusively airs various versions of the late 1980s/1990s live-action sitcoms like Married with Children. Homer encounters a ghostly version of his family from the Tracy Ullman Show after a haunting experience. He's drawn to the ghost Marge, making the living Marge jealous. In an attempt to join them as a ghost, she tragically ends her life by cooking her head in the oven. Ghost Homer kills the living Homer with a toaster out of jealousy. Bart feigns suicide to trick Lisa, leading to her actual death. Lisa's ghost seeks revenge by killing Bart. Then groundskeeper Willie uses the children's corpses for stew. Homer chooses his present-day wife over the ghost. The next morning at breakfast, Lisa questions the potential for more Simpsons incarnations, citing corporate greed. CGI Simpsons, including the talking Santa's little helper, are joined by anime versions. Various Simpsons versions realize they've been manipulated into the wrong universe. The segment then ends with 1987 Homer struggling to take a portrait of both families, a homage to Family Portrait from the Tracy Ullman Show, resulting in a ruined photo. Wanted, dead then alive. Bart receives a message from Milhouse about Mr. Largo stuck in a harp, but it turns out to be a ruse by Sideshow Bob, who lured Bart to the music room to fulfill his lifelong dream of killing him. Sideshow Bob fatally shoots him with a spear gun. After celebrating his achievement, Sideshow Bob posts a selfie with Bart on Fiendbook. Despite achieving his life goal, Bob finds little satisfaction in becoming a teacher and builds a machine to repeatedly kill and revive Bart, mimicking the Itchy and Scratchy show. Lisa and Santa's little helper discover Bob's machine. The Simpson family breaks into his basement, reanimates Bart, but Bob threatens them with a shotgun for trespassing. Homer defeats Bob with a lamp. Marge allows Bart to keep Bob's body, and Bart transforms Bob into a bizarre creature. Reluctantly, Bob resumes his teaching career to a class of rude university students. Homerzilla. In a parody of Godzilla, Grandpa in Springfield, Japan drops daily donuts into the ocean to prevent a sea monster. Mocked by his family, he dies while preparing one, and the sea monster Homerzilla rises, destroying the city. In the present, executives deem the Godzilla movie terrible and decide on a remake. 2 years later, Zilla is released, but flops. They plan to discard merchandise, awakening another sea monster. A message then reveals that Homerzilla will return when people forget about the last one. Telops of Glory. Parodying Chronicle, Bart, Lisa, and Milhouse hike to spot butterflies. Bart and Milhouse's antics lead to Milhouse falling into a hole. To rescue him, Bart and Lisa jump in, and all three get stuck with nuclear waste. Then the radioactive explosion propels them out of the hole. Milhouse and Lisa wake up with telekinesis, but only Lisa wields it responsibly. Milhouse, intoxicated with power, ends up getting struck by lightning. Lisa denies involvement, prompting the family to investigate. They discover Maggie also possesses telepathic powers from using a radioactive pacifier. The episode ends with Kang and Kodos lamenting another cameo, referencing Treehouse of Horror 3. Try hard. In a post-apocalyptic Springfield with a severe water shortage, Mr. Burns declares a gladiator-style competition where one child from each neighborhood must fight for a chance to spend a day at his reservoir, the only source of water left in the city. Lisa, chosen from Nevergreen Terrace, meets her coach Homer. In the battle, Ralph dies prematurely as he steps out and gets blown up before the event begins. Two boys seduce Lisa, but Homer intervenes and kills them. Later, Homer falls into a trap surrounded by other contestants. However, Lisa persuades them to avoid violence. She also rallies the people of Springfield against Mr. Burns. They liberate all the kids from the dome, demolish Burns' reservoir, and regret wasting the water. Yet, the released water leads to rain, triggering a flood and eventually an ice age. BFF. R.I.P. While playing hide and seek with Janie, Lisa witnesses Ned Flanders' lawnmower accidentally killing Janie. At Janie's funeral, Sherry and Terry offer to be Lisa's new best friends for life, but they are crushed by a falling tombstone. Distraught, Lisa seeks counseling, and the counselor suggests becoming her new best friend for life, only to be killed by a falling painting. At the doctor's funeral, Lisa becomes a suspect in her friend's murder investigation. Chief Wiggum discovers sparkle nail polish in Lisa's room, linking it to all 4 crime scenes. Lisa explains she used it with her former imaginary friend Rachel, whom she outgrew. Despite Lisa's denial of any involvement, Chief Wiggum remains suspicious and keeps a close watch on her. The next day on the school bus, all kids fear Lisa except Milhouse, who is killed by Rachel with a plastic bag. Chief Wiggum arrests Lisa, who admits Marge was right about Rachel. Lisa, realizing Rachel may target Marge, escapes with Bart's help. Meanwhile, Chief Wiggum is fatally stabbed by Snake in the police station. Lisa arrives home in time to save Marge from Rachel's murderous plan. Rachel discloses her intent to kill everyone Lisa loves while framing her. Trying to kill Homer, Rachel is distracted by his imaginary friend, Sergeant Sausage, whom she shoves into the microwave. When Lisa realizes Rachel exists only in her imagination, she transforms her into a version of her own mother, leading Rachel to vanish. Homer, mourning Sergeant Sausage, attempts to eat the remains, but Sergeant Sausage reveals his immortality, and the segment ends with Homer instructing him to get inside his stomach. Mofinger. In the James Bond and Kingsman movie parody, Bart, pursued by Dolph, Jimbo, and Kearney, seeks refuge in Moe's tavern. Moe, unexpectedly skilled, subdues the bullies and unveils a secret lair beneath the tavern, exposing the barflies as undercover agents. He discloses his desire for Bart to replace Homer, one of their top agents lost in action. Later, they learn their next target is Remo Industries, the wealthy owner of Duff Stadium. Breaking in, they discover Homer is the president, who discloses his plan to use a lava machine to force the world into surrendering, with beer as his celebration motive. As agents approach Homer, he unleashes a drug horde from the concession stand. Bart then escapes the fray and eventually kills his own father. Then the episode concludes with a James Bond style song celebrating 600 episodes. Now, I never cover the opening sequences, but I feel like for this episode I'm going to, as it's pretty epic. In the CGI short The Sweet Hereafter, on Halloween night in Springfield, animated Candy comes to life in front of a house. Butterfinger worries about being taken first, but Marge Bar reassures him, mentioning he's always the last. Homer mistakenly calls him Butterfinger instead of Barterfinger. Apple Lisa realizes kids avoid apples, fearing razor blades. Marge Bar suggests caramel for Lisa, who finds it dull. Shauna reaches for candy, but Homer cleverly lets Senior Mints get taken instead. When asked, Homer says he's going to heaven. As Shauna eats them, Senior Mints panics at her cigarette breath. The following day, as the homeowners remove Halloween decorations, the candy bowl is nearly empty, with only the Simpson family left. After the bowl is placed on a high shelf, a chocolate Easter bunny, feeling forgotten, sadly questions his lack of appeal. Homer comforts him, takes a piece of the bunny's ears, and eats it despite Marge Bar's objections. Apple Lisa can't bear the bunny suffering, so Homer eats its mouth to silence it. The Exorcist. In a parody of The Exorcist, a Pazuzu statue from a pre-Christian temple in Iraq arrives at the Simpson home after Homer mistakes it for pizza on Amazon. Homer, possessed, sings the Pazuzu lullaby to Maggie. The statue is placed across from her crib, and as soon as Homer leaves, Pazuzu promptly possesses Maggie. During a cocktail party downstairs, Marge sees possessed Maggie causing trouble. She kills Helen Lovejoy, and after locking everyone indoors, reveals Dr. Hibbert's infidelity before killing killing him. Ned Flanders informs the Simpsons that Maggie needs an exorcism, but is killed while trying to restrain her. Homer and Marge restrain possessed Maggie with Bible ribbons as her head turns 360 degrees. An Irish Catholic priest arrives, tests Pazuzu's power, and successfully exorcises the demon from Maggie. However, Pazuzu then possesses Bart, and the Pazuzu regrets it, noting Bart has the evilest soul he's ever seen. Bart asks Pazuzu to grow him some horns. Later, Pazuzu extends the horns through Homer's nose. Homer, discomfited, hopes the horns will excuse him from jury duty. However, he's later shown on a jury with a dismembered horn still through his nose, shouting "Doe." Cora Lisa, parodying Caroline, Maggie, still influenced by Pazuzu, violently vomits at the dinner table. In Lisa's room, Snowball guides her through a secret tunnel to an alternate family with button eyes. Initially intrigued, Lisa panics when they reveal their plan to sew buttons on her eyes. Her perspective changes after Homer kills a snake with Lisa's saxophone. Days later, the family notices Lisa's absence. Homer casually suggests that Maggie gets Lisa's clothes, belongings, and Bart gets Lisa's homework. Hearing this, Bart flees through the door, entering the alternate reality. Marge and Homer then follow. In a confrontation, Homer accidentally kills alternate Bart, leading to alternate Homer injuring himself while seeking revenge with scissors. Irritated, alternate Marge transforms into a spider-like creature to attack Homer. Seizing the opportunity, Homer brings the surviving alternate family members home, with his alternate counterpart handling the parent-teacher meetings and alternate Marge managing chores and house security. Lisa, accepting the situation, acknowledges it could have been worse. Homer. Lisa warns of the upcoming disgusting content, and the episode unfolds with Homer alone at home. As the family goes on vacation with Patty and Selma, Homer eats all his food, leaving only vegetables. In a mishap involving Santa's little helper, he loses a frozen hot dog, accidentally cutting off his finger, then he decides to eat it. Discovering the taste of how much he loves his cooked finger, Homer becomes obsessed, rejecting regular food, especially when he's invited to lunch by Flanders. He then starts creatively cannibalizing himself, cooking parts of his body as a lazy alternative to go into the grocery store before his family returns. Discovering Homer's self-cannibalism, Marge takes him to an addiction counselor. Mario Battelli persuades Homer to cook his remaining body parts as ingredients for Chez Homer and other Springfield restaurants. In heaven, Homer discusses the phenomenon of people eating parts of their bodies with Jesus. Meanwhile, Springfield residents have become cannibals. Intrusion of the Potty Switchers. In a parody of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the segment unfolds at an underwater maple base. The late Steve Mobs, on screen, introduces the new My Phone to a hyper audience. As everyone is engrossed in their phones, the unfunny Steve is exposed as a plant alien on a mission. On the plant planet, they shoot spores to Earth near the Planet Express ship with a Bring Back Futurama cloth, later blown up by the Orville. In Springfield, everyone morphs into plant versions, featuring a plant auto with a marijuana leaf head. Comic book guy notes it's a homage to Invasion of the Body Snatchers, pointing out the movie was a ripoff of The Thing. A plant version of the comic book guy frightens Milhouse and Bart by saying "pad," prompting them to flee. Bart and Lisa try to escape in Lou's police car, but Lou transforms into a plant, infecting them. It turns out the people were transported to a utopian land by the plants. The plant citizens notice maple products with the citizens and ask where they found them, which Bart reveals they discovered them under the living room Christmas tree. Multiplicity. Following a sleepover at the Van Houten residence, Milhouse, Nelson, and Bart wake up in a cell. They are later released by Lisa, who, posing as a British girl named Penelope, confesses to being the one who trapped them. She enticed them with ketamine-laced Sunny D bottles. Penelope, actually one of Lisa's multiple personalities, behaves oddly and locks them back in when they don't request an encore of her performance. Lisa then attacks, knocking Milhouse into a recycling bin and killing Nelson. Bart then asks what happened to her, and Lisa explains that Bart altered her spelling test, mocked Miss Hoover, and gave her an F. Lisa offers Bart a final chance for redemption, and he seizes it, saving himself from a trash-related demise, while Milhouse gets transformed into a literal paper boy. Geriatric Park. In a parody of Jurassic Park, Mr. Burns unveils a Jurassic-themed retirement home, where elders are rejuvenated by blending their DNA with dinosaurs. He invites Springfielders to the park, presenting it as the new retirement home. Initially human and rejuvenated, with newfound strength, they undergo a transformation into dinosaur creatures when Homer raises the temperature following Grandpa's complaint about it being too cold. Visitors and Mr. Burns meet their demise at the hands of the elders. The Simpson family faces a threat from Grandpa and Jacqueline Bouvier, but Lisa bravely confronts Grandpa. Through her courage, they discover that all the elders needed was to be cherished and respected. Ultimately, the Simpson family escapes unharmed, but their helicopter is piloted by Ludodactylus Agnes. Now, like I did with Treehouse of Horror 28, I'm going to cover the opening sequence again, because why not? In a parody of The Omen, it's revealed Marge's third baby is a boy. Homer, not wanting another troublemaker like Bart, agrees to Dr. Hibbert adopting Maggie. However, Maggie demonstrates demonic powers by choking Hibbert with his stethoscope and burning him. Maggie uses her powers to manipulate stuffed animals, making them vomit stuffing and causing harm to Coney and Jimbo. Ned witnesses her abilities and tries to kill her at a deserted church, believing she's marked by the devil. Despite Homer and Marge's intervention, Ned reveals the supposed mark of the beast to be Mickey Mouse, but the true mark is 666. As Ned attempts to kill Maggie, she levitates and breaks through the church roof. Homer remarks that Maggie is preferable to another boy. Suddenly, giant spear-like weapons impale all three of them through their heart, unveiling the title Treehouse of Horror 30. Danger Things. In a parody of Stranger Things, set in the 1980s, after playing the Atari 2600 game E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Milhouse is abducted by a Demogorgon. His father Kirk communicates through Christmas lights. In the Over Under, a parody of the Upside Down, Milhouse contacts the Simpsons, but hangs up after learning Lisa doesn't share his feeling. With Bart and Nelson's help, they enlist Jonathan Frink to travel to the Over Under. Lisa finds Milhouse in another dimension. There, they encounter a Demogorgon-filled alternate Springfield. Lisa's psychic powers save them from the creatures, but they are rescued by Homer, part of Mr. Burns' monster hunting program. Unable to return home, the Simpsons opt to reside in the Over Under. Homer is relieved to find no Ned Flanders in the Over Under until a Demogorgon version of Flanders appears, prompting Homer to incinerate it. Heaven swipes right. In a parody of Heaven Can Wait, Homer chokes on a hot dog and dies during a football game. He's meant to still be alive, but his decomposed body can't be revived. He's then placed into the body of a handsome athlete. Marge is thrilled to have Homer back, but his new body is ruined by eating junk food. He then inhabits the body of Gary Chalmers, which Bart uses to torment Principal Skinner. But when he sees his paycheck, he dies of shock. After briefly occupying a monkey's body resembling Mr. Teeny, he switches to Moe Sislax. A twist then unfolds as Moe has taken Maggie's body, much to Marge's horror. When Harry met Slimy. In a parody of The Shape of Water, Selma, portraying Eliza, falls for an alien named Kang. She assists him in escaping captivity with Homer's help. As they are pursued, they rendezvous with Kang's sister, Kodos, atop Mount Springfield. Selma is fatally shot by soldiers, prompting Kang to obliterate them with the Infinity Gauntlet. Kang revives Selma by claiming she's pregnant. Patty intervenes, warning Selma not to leave Earth, but ends up falling for Kodos when they share their sexual preferences. If you want to see another Treehouse of Horror episode, then click this video right here.